Hello, y'all. I am back again for another live. So, fair use. So, listen to this right here, okay? Fair use, y'all.
It's very rare that you will see a white man going out his way neglecting his own daughter, his own blood, his own friends, his own kind, just to show love and kindness to a black kid that's mentally challenged. See, everybody, the whole town was trying to figure out why was he being so nice to this kid. Some people thought he was using him to be a mascot for his team. Basically using him for entertainment for the crowd. Some people thought he was just showing sympathy because he's mentally challenged. But it didn't have nothing to do with none of the above. See, the coach was on a mission that nobody knew about, only himself. The coach was dealing with demons and guilt. Later on in the movie, he revealed something to his daughter. Later on in the movie, he told his daughter a story when he was young. Basically, he had a chance to help someone that was in an abandoned situation, and he chose to ignore it. Throughout the movie, his daughter was constantly trying to get his attention, but he didn't give her no attention at all. Not because he had something against his daughter, but because he was dealing with something that only he knew about and only he can see. They couldn't see what he was dealing with. She didn't understand what was going on with her father. She made everything about herself. She didn't even realize what he was going through and what he was doing was bigger than what she was talking about. He wasn't just being nice and kind to radio because he was mentally challenged. He was on a mission. He was freeing himself, and only he would know about that, not those who are around him. For Christmas, he wasn't with his own family. He was with radio. Now, what man, better yet, what white man is not going to be with his family on Christmas, but rather be with a black male, mentally challenged kid on Christmas, bro? Where you see that at? You're not going to see that too much of nowhere. So that should tell you that it's bigger than just being nice. Even the mother was confused. She knows throughout history, there's never been no white man coming to play Superman to their sons. So she asked him, why are you doing this? Of course, he didn't give her the same story he gave his daughter. He just said, because it's the right thing to do. Look at this dude, bro. This dude is destroyed. He gone. That's because of what he have done in the past. It's affected him all the way until now. And it completely changed him. It made him look at life through a whole new lens. Just like he had bullies that was against him and bullying him for no reason, even the whole town is against him. And when you do this, you immediately face conviction, because here you are having something against someone who has done you no harm. And this exposes you for being a cruel person. So cruel that it makes you want to change and be a better person. See, radio earned their respect, not by being hard and tough, but just by being loving and kind. They was evil to him, yet he showered them with love. This is an example of killing with kindness. He killed them with kindness. That's how he gained their respect. See, you never know what a person is going through. He had no father figure, a mother that worked 10 hours a day. His mother was his best friend. The doctors never diagnosed him with a specific disorder. He just processed information slower than others. Just because somebody look different, walk different, talk different, doesn't mean you treat them no different than how you would want to be treated. The Bible says, thus says the Most High, render true judgment, show kindness and mercy to one another. Do not oppress the widow, the fatherless, the sojourner, or the poor, and let none of you devise evil against another in your heart. The generous prosper. Those who refresh others will themselves be refreshed. That's what the Bible say. See, this movie is based on a true story, so no, this is not one of my crazy theories. So with that being said, the message is simple and clear. Be kind and loving to others, to everybody, bro. Because what goes around comes around. You might treat somebody evil 10 years ago, But if you did, you would have to pay for it 10 years later. That's just how it go. You reap what you sow. So before you start to be nasty and mean and judging people, get to know them first before you start to do anything. You never know. Just by you showing an ounce of love and kindness to someone, you might have prevented them from doing something stupid. So show love to everybody, bro.
So thank you so much for the likes. And I'm getting ready to explain to y'all why I was playing that, and then fair use, y'all. So hello, Rosie Ibarra. Hopefully I'm pronouncing your name right. And hello, Brawler. Thank you so much for tuning in. So I had mentioned on another live that I was going to do a live about playas. PLAYA, y'all. PLAYA. And in the sense that I'm going to be talking about a playa, and yes, that video that I just played for you for fair use will connect with what I'm going to be explaining today. So a playa, in the instance that I'm going to be bringing it up, is not a cheater, y'all. A playa, PLAYA, is going to be a mentality that happens within the mind of the player. Okay, so consider a player a personality type. Okay, and not everything about being a player is bad, y'all. I'm not talking about a pimp. I'm not talking about a cheater. Words have evolved, y'all. Words have so much more meaning because we have culture that goes along with the word. It's not just a word. So keep in mind, when I mention player, I am not talking about a cheater. I'm talking about a mindset and a mentality. Okay. So in that video, you just heard a lot of things. Basically, it's a white man that was a coach, and he chose to help a mentally challenged young black male. And basically, borderline was temporarily neglecting his own daughter and family to help this mentally challenged black male. But the reason he was so dedicated to doing it is because for the white man in his past, he refused to help someone, and he had pretty much like a cruel nature. And also the white man's daughter, his biological daughter, was selfish and could not understand why her father was choosing to help this black, disabled, mentally challenged young man and his mother. So when the white man helps the mentally challenged black male, the white man is freeing himself, okay? And the mentally challenged man name was Radio, okay? So, okay, so it's not so simple for the player, right? So what happens is, y'all, this is the part of life where the player is unable. Player is a personality type. What happens with players is they can be empaths too. Okay, I know HG Tutor, he says players are all narcissists. He's talking about the cheaters. But in the way that I'm bringing up the subject, I'm not considering a player a cheater. I'm considering a player a personality type. And what it is, what a player truly is someone that's emotionally protecting himself. All players have a past, okay? And some of the things I will be mentioning when it comes to being a player, some of y'all will meet the criteria, and so will I. So what happens with the player? They have a past. So I'm going to use an example of a narcissistic man, okay? And he proclaimed, hey, he was a narcissist. So he said, hell yeah, he's a narcissist. So let's call him an aware narcissist. He had a past, and part of his past was when he was very young, he committed an assault upon a prostitute. She was a young prostitute, younger than him, and she claimed she didn't have his money, so he knocked her to the ground and kicked her. Okay, so this is a player, but in his past he was also a pimp and a cheater and an abuser. He did this at a very young age. He was very, very young, not even 25 years old when he did this to this prostitute that was prostituting for him. He got out of that line of work or whatever, but he left pimping and he became a player. So he never got past that. It affected every relationship he ever had with anyone, whether it be a wife, a girlfriend, anyone he was with. This past comes with him. And this narcissist used to discuss his background with me regarding this situation. Okay. So, one of the things with the player, number one, is they don't know how to free themselves from their past. So, a player is unable to do what the white man did in the video. So, a player is unable to do that. Okay. And so, he's unable to redeem himself from the past. So, a player is always living in the past. They won't go to God. They have a God complex, so they won't free themselves from the past. So because they're always living in the past, they will always, number two, this will be the second thing, they're always going to disappear from life. They're going to disappear from life and disappear from people. Okay? This will be a continual pattern. That's why they're doing silent treatments and it's always on and off. They're going to be disappearing from life and disappearing from people. Number three, a player doesn't know how to redeem himself. Redeem means somehow in your mind fix what you did so that you can live and move on and be happy with yourself. Players always are living in their past. Always. They don't move enough towards the future, and they're always tagging the past along with them. So this is many reasons. This is one of the reasons that their relationships will never work. They're always comparing you to someone in their past as well. So we'll make that number 4. But also, number 5, a player, PLAYA, a personality type, they're always trying to find someone in their future that's nothing like their past. So this particular aware narcissist, I was not a prostitute. He considered me a square. He considered me not a worldly woman, is what he said. But eventually, he called me a player. Okay? When he figured out that I knew the game he was playing and I basically mastered the situation where I was even able to unintentionally and intentional sometimes hurt his feelings the same way he was hurting mine. So number 6, because they can't redeem their can't be redeemed from their past, they won't free themselves in the way that the white man did on the video. Okay? And a player, the personality of a player, he or she, and this primarily is going for a male, because I think men suffer the most guilt for their past a lot of times. That's when I've seen it very prevalent. So the player doesn't understand what's happening to him. Okay? He just doesn't. So he will go through life not understanding. So if you don't understand something and you're not conscious, you can't free yourself of it. Okay? And what happens is players PLAYA, there is some empathy there. How do you know there's empathy there? They have to be able to fulfill or feel the needs of others in some way, or have some kind of compassion for it when they can't get over their past. This is a problem I don't have, y'all. Okay. The best thing to do is to not do things that make you feel like you can't live with yourself. This is why you gotta think before you act. I should not go outside and unalive 12 people if I am not going to be able to handle that. Okay, so this is part of the player mentality. Not thinking and having foresight and thinking ahead of time. Oftentimes, players have been raised by very neglectful people, people that did not have their best interests at heart, and they're unable to connect the dots. You know, when I look at the aware narcissist that beat up the prostitute when he was pimping when he was very young, and he ended up converting from a pimp into a player. So in the way that I'm using the word player, I'm not saying they're pimps, because he retired from pimping. He couldn't handle being a pimp because he couldn't handle the guilt that he felt for what he did to the prostitute. And I finally ended up finding out her first name, y'all. Many years we discussed what he did with this woman when he assaulted her, knocked her down, and kicked her in the head. I finally ended up finding out her first name. I won't mention it here, but I did end up finding that out. So, and this is just going to be part one of the player. These are going to be constantly going. I'm going to create a playlist. The playlist will be called The Player, and this is going to be part one of it. So these are all the things that will be happening. Okay. So no one can remain consistent in your life and be there every day in the way that you would like if they're always doing disappearing acts, because subconsciously they're not getting over their past. They're not getting over their breakups. They're not ever getting over the lady that left him. Okay. And so it just won't work. And this is the problem with the player. This is why you will not be happy with the player. You cannot build a relationship with the player. Even this white gentleman, when I was just playing What Happened, the coach that was caring for the mentally disabled black gentleman, the white coach, you can't build a relationship with him for real, because he's too busy redeeming himself and freeing his soul from his past. So even if a player does change, this white gentleman voice that you were hearing the narrator talk about, and I will thank this digital creator and narrator and very famous man. I will be thanking him in the description box for this. He's freeing himself. So his white daughter was not able to really build a healthy relationship with her father because he's too busy freeing himself from his past. He had a past. The white gentleman, he refused to help someone, and he felt guilty about it. And whatever happened, the person that he refused to help, it haunted him. So players are haunted by their past. That's why they're so abusive. A player is always haunted. They have nightmares, y'all. I truly believe this. I believe the aware narcissist that I'm telling you about that would discuss what he did with this prostitute and how he assaulted her. And one time he said this, y'all. He got so deep in his emotions and trauma and feelings of guilt. He almost tried to deny the guilt at one point, and he said this to me. She liked it. And I didn't tolerate him, y'all. When he told me that that woman liked being kicked in her head, I told him, I said, someone should have aborted you. I'm not pro-predator. I am not pro-predator. Okay? Because you can't sit up here for over 10 years and talk about how sorry you are and how bad of a thing that was, whether you killed somebody, kicked them in the head, whatever you did to them, that horrible act, and then think it's okay because you on and off drinking liquor, saying that she liked it. No, she didn't. And he never said that to me again. And he went right back to, ended up talking about, the remorse and stuff he had. I had to take this aware narcissist back to where he should be. That aware narcissist, the Lord sent him to me for him to experience karma. Because it was no one else that he was going to feel as comfortable with talking about what he did to that prostitute. A lot of people probably would have went no contact with them. But the Lord placed me in his life to counsel him, to put a little karma on him, because I'm not that prostitute he kicked in the head. Yeah, I told him someone should have aborted him. Because it's not okay for him to ever say that this lady wanted to be kicked in the head. She was on the ground begging him to stop, y'all. And this aware narcissist, he had nightmares about it. But see, he didn't want to give his life to the Lord and redeem himself. Y'all, no matter what you did, you got to get past it. You got to get past it. That's the personality flaw of a player, is they do something highly narcissistic in their early years and can't live with it. Because at some point, they realize they do have empathy, and a lot of them are not full-blown narcissists. They're actually narcissistic. So there is a small level of empathy there. I went complete no contact with this man. I don't want his nightmares and whatever he's going to go through around me anymore. So this is going to be part 1, y'all. And thank you so much for the like. So this is going to be part 1 of the PLAYA. And I'm going to be continuously uploading. This is the thing, y'all. I don't know. Maybe I will continue. My device is going out. So what I'll do is I'm going to just plug this in, y'all. That's what I'm going to do. I'm plugging it in. I got to continue with it because I have more to say. And part 1 should at least be like an hour. So, okay, I'm plugging my device in. Okay. So hopefully this will work. Yeah, but let me see, because the PLAYA, this is going to be an ongoing series because it's going to be so much more to talk about within this. It's very, I'm going to be honest, y'all. I would not want to be the PLAYA that is unable to redeem himself. It's a very, very, very bad position to be in. Oh goodness, I hope this doesn't go out. Please like, share, and subscribe, y'all, just in case this video goes out. This is part 1 of the PLAYA, y'all. Part 1 of the PLAYA. Please like, share, and subscribe.